There we go. We're live now. So I'm just going to double check if it's working. Let's see. Yep, we're doing it. Okay, so I'll just wait for people to join. And then, how's your level 3 going?
Pretty good. We haven't really sort of noticed much difference, to be honest.
Oh, really?
Although a coffee's feeling pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's hosing with rain today, so it kind of feels like a level 4 day. Yesterday, regardless.
Oh dear, it's been a while now, hasn't it? It's so good.
That's okay. Yeah, I mean, hopefully we can continue moving through the levels and everyone vaccinated.
Let's hope. Cool. So I think we've got the people watching now, and I believe they're all watching from the same screen downstairs actually. And so there might be a few questions. So hello everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Talking Futures, where we talk to people in the community about their employment and what they're doing now and how they got into work. And today we have a very special guest, Sam Chapman, also uncle relative status. And we're going to talk to Sam a bit about your career in hospitality and actually everything under the sun. As I was writing the bio, I was like, oh, okay, a lot of different areas. But we do have a lot of people that are learning their barista training and getting into the hospo realm. So it might be quite good for them to hear about that. But yeah, how about we start, if you just introduce yourselves, tell us where you're from and what you're doing at the moment.
Cool. Morning, everyone. Afternoon, as it were. My name's Sam. I originally grew up in the high country of the South Island, but currently residing with my family in Tiaki, in Auckland. Here, we live in Matterhorn, which is sort of West Auckland, out in the bush, close to the beaches, which has been pretty lovely to for navigating level 4. Yeah, and as Helen said, I guess my career has been pretty diverse, really. I started out, like a lot of people, kind of studying, working in hospitality to kind of pay my way. And then has kind of flowed into a whole lot of other sort of industries from there.
Awesome. Cool. So, yeah, I guess what we like to ask people who come on here, like what their first job was, and maybe when you were younger, like what did you imagine that you would be doing when you were grown up or when you got your first job?
My first ever job, my father was a farmer, and the first job that we ever had where we could earn money was terrible. It was plucking dead sheep, which was effectively...
Oh, God!
So nothing went to waste. Any animals that died, you had to remove the wool, and that was... the only way that we were first allowed in $1. I think my father thought it might be some way of providing a work ethic, but pretty revolting. And it certainly taught me what I didn't want to do for the rest of my life.
Well, that's a good indication. I hope there's no vegans or vegetarians actually listening at the moment. Cool. So, at that age, did you know what you wanted to be or what you wanted to do when you were older?
Not really. No, it took me kind of a long time to, probably until my sort of, maybe my early to mid-20s to start to gather an idea of really what I would like to pursue. And while the kind of what I've actually done from a work perspective has changed a lot over the years, I guess the principles of what interested me in my first sort of career steps have remained the same. And really that's just to work with great people and to do interesting work that hopefully has a positive impact. And whether that's socially, culturally, or for the environment. I'm sorry, we've got quite a heavy rain shower here, so I think that this isn't making recording too loud.
Oh no, it's okay. We can hear. So tell us about how you sort of first entered the hospo scene and what the opportunities you got from that.
So we sort of started out together as friends working in hospitality, and really, I guess, just wanted to try and do it for ourselves. We were pretty young. We were 23 when we started our first business. It used the last of our student loans and any money that we could sort of cobble together. And we took over what was a pretty out-of-fashion cafe and filled it full of music and good food. And it really sort of started almost as much as anything as a hobby, a way of paying ourselves to do the stuff we really enjoyed. And it just happened that in doing it, we learnt so much else along the way. I mean, I think the wonderful thing about hospitality, while it's a job that a lot of people do to get by, especially while you're studying in things, but it actually provides an amazing skill base to be able to do a whole range of things. I think so many careers are really built on your ability to collaborate with people, to work well with people, to problem solve, to be able to think on your feet. The sort of the need to combine culture and commerce. And the wonderful thing about kind of hospitality is it provides a great base to build all those sorts of skills. It may not be something that you see yourself doing for the rest of your life, but I think regardless, the skills that you can gather along the way, they're perfect for whether it's transitioning into the creative industries, film, design, communication, or into kind of any number of other sort of career avenues where you've got to work well with other people, problem solve, be creative.
Absolutely. And I think that's interesting that you say that sort of can go into creative avenues as well, because often we see people that are pursuing creative projects or involved in the arts, working sidelining with hospitality, maybe to pay the bills or something. But it's nice to know that, it's really contributing in a number of ways to that creative scene as well, through, like you were saying, connections with people and being exposed to all sorts of different people in different environments. So that's really cool. I guess we've got a few people who are listening at the moment that are maybe going to enter the hospitality scene as first employment or, one of the earlier jobs in their careers. And I guess what would you say are sort of things that you would need as you're getting into the hospitality industry? Or, do you need a bunch of experience, or what would you say the fundamentals getting into hospitality?
I think the ability to be empathetic, to be able to put yourself in other people's shoes is pretty important, but I guess that's the same for any role where you're dealing with people, really. An open-mindedness and an ability to learn, I think, again, common for probably any role. I think just be hungry for knowledge. Be a good teammate, kind of work for the people around you as much as you're working for the customer. And have fun, I mean, at the end of the day, and I think this is probably the same for any work, really, but hospitality especially, you're there to create an amazing experience for people, and that needs to feel like fun. And the only way to feel like fun is by making it enjoyable and fun. If you make it enjoyable for yourself, you'll make a great experience for your customers too.
Absolutely. Some great advice. So everyone, you're writing those down, I hope, to put in your cover letters for your hospo jobs. So we've got a question, and this is from Nate. And you sort of touched on this bit, but I know that you've been in many different sort of industries, and this is quite an interesting one. Isn't it up? Here we are. Nate asks, what are some of the skills that you learned from your hospo career that you've applied in other work that's outside of hospo?
The ability to collaborate and kind of build teams really quickly has been hugely helpful. I think the ability to be able to communicate with people from all walks of life.
Yeah.
I guess in our places, we've served everyone from politicians and rock stars to skateboarders, and artists, and so I think the ability to be able to communicate with anyone and to be able to make them feel comfortable, the ability to be able to create systems kind of out of process and create process, so you can build quality and consistency, and because I think that applies to any work that you might be doing. It's the only way you can kind of scale. They'd be a few.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess you recently segued from hospitality management into your job currently. Do you want to talk a little bit about that transition and what the differences are there?
Yeah, I guess I studied sociology. I guess my first interest has always been people. That's what led me away from the farm. People and culture, and hospitality was a way of being able to continue studies really without and be paid for it at the same time. I guess hospitality is kind of culture making in a way, or it can be done well, and so I guess my transition from hospitality was really, again, just following those interests in culture. I began working in brand design and communications, and that has led me in a number of directions. As I said early on, I think I've always strived to try and find a positive impact for what we've been doing through work, and whether that's building community, creating positive social impacts, or when you start dealing with other businesses through communications and design, trying to work with people that I guess their products are going to make life better for people, and ideally touch the earth lightly. So that I spent almost 15 years now working across design, brand and things. And the nature of that in communications is it can be incredibly diverse. So I've worked with everyone from, say, current client at the moment is the Economic Development Agency here in Auckland, working with them to develop a strategy for the screen sector to respond to COVID and our distance from market and the likes. Through to kind of working with, industry groupings in the seafood industry to develop a sustainable fishing technology that reduces waste, bycatch, and produces a much higher quality product than we're currently doing. So, it's very much project-led work. It tends to be involved building a team around solving a specific problem, and then just being going.
I think that really, really nicely answers another question we had, which was, what are some of the positive impacts that you've seen and be a part of, and you were happy with and were meaningful to you? And it clearly comes through that, the environment and sustainability and sustainable projects is really important for you. And I know you implemented a lot of that at Sherwood, especially with like the garden and new initiatives there. So it'd be pretty cool if you could expand on some of those initiatives that you placed in there.
Sure, yeah. So Sherwood was kind of a combination of both our hospitality experience and then the work that I have been lucky enough to kind of do through design and the like. We talked about what was effectively a mid-80s mock Tudor motor-inn in Queenstown. It was quite big. It was about 80 odd rooms, and tried to, I guess, re-engineer it for the current day, and that involved, rather than just kind of ripping it to pieces and filling it full of mod cons, we tried to do it in a way that was respectful to the environment. We used sustainable materials and recycled materials to innovate. We installed a very large solar system, which provided, especially during the summer, to about 60% of the power for the hotel. We implemented a really big kind of cultural program to try and provide things to the community that was missing, a lot of music, other kind of cultural events, and then just tried to operate in a way that was as gentle to the environment as possible. So we were zero waste to landfill in the hospitality side of the operation. And then went through kind of a system of reducing waste and impact we put across the business operations. That included setting up a 3-hectare veggie garden, supplying as
really
much
cool
as we could, and then just trying to work with those local businesses and members of the community around us that had the same values as us. So as much of the money we spent went back into the local community and had a positive impact as possible.
Awesome. Yeah, it was an incredible initiative, and it's so cool to visit as well. We have another question sort of along those lines. So I'll just let you know that the questions are coming from Nate, but our learners are all, he's the typing man. So it's one of our learners asking, in your career or in any of the restaurants that you worked for, managed, do you do farm to table?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess pretty much all of places we've run, we've tried to have as personal a relationship with our suppliers as possible.
Yeah.
And I think one is the most satisfying way to do business when you know the people you're dealing with. It's a great way to assure quality, and also I think it's good to make sure, wherever possible, you're kind of supporting other local businesses. I guess the only one that is challenging, really, there really is the nature of the meat industry, is that it tends to be run by large corporates, so it can be a bit more challenging there, but wherever possible, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got more hospo questions, definitely. So this is another one. I'll put this one up, saying that if you are new in hospo, it's often difficult to know how to engage and talk with different types of customers and other teammates. I guess on the program as well, we definitely try and increase that confidence about, approaching strangers or even approaching employers and things like that. So I guess what would be your advice for someone who's starting out in hospo industry to help them build their confidence just to get into it?
I think just put yourself out there really is the best thing. I used to be incredibly shy when I was a kid. I found it really hard, and to be honest, hospo was great because it allowed me to follow my interests with people, but I could always have something useful to do, So I think, so you could kind of be part of it, but then, escape if you needed to, I guess, in a way. So I think the best thing you can do is just put yourself out there. I mean, if your intention's good, right, it's always going to be good, you know. So you can't really go wrong, you know. You just got to be, try and think about how other people want to be treated, and I don't think you can go wrong.
Absolutely. I agree. Yeah, it's just about getting out there and sort of, picking up the courage. I guess it is in those sorts of roles. I mean, sort of really worked in customer service. The initial approaching a customer and sort of talking to them, you have the script in your head of what you're going to say and how can I help you? And then honestly, after the first few, it's second nature. It gets really easy.
And I think the most important thing is to be genuine. You know, I think it actually means something when you look at someone, look them in the eyes and say, hey, how's it going? How can I help? You know? And you don't need to know all the answers. You've just got to make sure that the person you're talking to knows that, hey, I'm here to help, you know. And really all you need to do is relax. I'll go and find the answers, you know. I might be new. I might be just starting. So I might have to ask someone else. But, I'm here to, show you a good time or whatever it is that, you can be helping them with. So, I think, and just think, if it's you walking into that place, chances are they don't know what they should be doing either. So just having someone with a friendly face that says hi, that asks them how their day is, can't really get up to that start.
Absolutely. I guess we're sometimes talking about the differences between retail and hospitality and the different types of customer service you're offering there, and sort of in retail that's sort of like, testing out your sales abilities and really trying to get them, to buy. And then in hospitality arts, you're just enhancing their experience. You dictate what the time that they're going to spend, in your place. And so it's really cool. We were talking to Mia last week, and she was saying how as an actress she could sort of perform to these people, practice in a theatrical way of sort of creating a nice environment for them, which is cool. So I guess we'll sort of jump back into today's work, because it is really interesting to hear about brand development and sort of management and design. So I guess what does a typical day at your job look like, and what's the sort of most enjoyable or interesting parts of your job today?
So I guess the one constant about my job is it's never the same. Each project's different. It involves getting to know or creating a whole different team of people, depending on the skills you need or the knowledge. So I guess a lot of it is communication. At the core of what I do is trying to help people solve problems. So it's if it's say a commercial, business or a brand that I'd be working with for an organisation, council or government. It's just trying to understand what's the problem that we need to solve. Is that the right problem? Sometimes you could be looking at the wrong thing and really the problem lies somewhere else. And then understanding who you need to speak to be able to solve it and to be able to test the solutions. And then figuring out how to implement it, what you need to make sure that solution becomes embedded, adopted, and hopefully used.
Awesome. Sounds like a very good day.
So I guess a lot of just talking with people, really, asking a lot of questions. I guess, again, and this is probably why hospitality was a really great grounding. I think solving any problem, especially if it's a human problem, starts with empathy. It starts with putting yourself in someone else's shoes and trying to understand what their needs are or why they might respond.
I guess. Sorry, that just made a noise. I guess you must have met a lot of different people, and and dealt with a bunch of odd situations. And so I think that just made me think of this question here as well that another learner's asked, which do you have any anecdotes of sort of times when you've dealt with certain customers, or how did you handle this, or what was your principle in dealing with this?
With irate people, I guess every situation's different, and so I think it's just, it's trying to, in a similar way, trying to understand what actually their problem is, and then trying to figure out how you can make it better. I think unfortunately sometimes you'll strike people that carry something else from their day or their life into the situation, so the problem might not actually be yours. And so in that case, it might really, the best thing you can do is figure out how to make sure that you don't carry that energy with you for the rest of the day. And so just, not take it on board. But, if it's a problem with, say, something that the service you delivered or a product you're making, just figure out how to make it good. I think everyone appreciates that. That approach, and just try and do it in a really honest, positive, genuine way. I think if you try and fudge it or avoid it, it's only going to make it worse. So I think the best thing is to figure out how to tackle it head on, and if you can't solve the problem, figure out who you need to speak to. Make it good.
Very, very composed in those situations. You definitely, I think, with the empathy, that's got to help dealing with those situations. Awesome. Well, I know you have to jump away soon, so I guess just to sort of leave us with maybe a piece of advice that you'd have for entering, hospitality or pursuing design or and communications or brand development. Is there any piece of advice that you'd have for our job seekers if they were hoping to get into that industry?
I mean, I think my advice would be the same regardless of what career or pathway you might be looking at following. It's just try and do things that interest you, because you're always going to be far better at it. Try and do work that fulfills you. I think look at any job, no matter how kind of mundane it is, look at what you could learn and take from it, because it might not be it might be the skills that you can learn from the edges of what you're doing. Look at how the people you're working for work. And I think if you stay curious, and if you're not afraid to work hard, you can pretty much go anywhere you want. Try and create a good environment for yourself to work in. Look after the people around you. Try and create a good team environment, and you'll be valuable anywhere.
That's excellent advice. I think it's so important to. A few other people have said that as well in different ways, like to whatever opportunity is presented with you. Maybe if it's not the ideal, at least pathway on, and take from it what you can, like what positives you could extract from, like you said, like maybe a mundane job. You can definitely learn a lot from it. So that's really great. Thank you so much, Sam. I think we've all learned a lot. And
I wish you all well. Those of you that are kind of looking for jobs, I said it doesn't necessarily matter what you know. It's how you choose to approach something.
Absolutely, that's a great piece of advice to take away, everyone. And I know you have to jump into another meeting now, so I will let you go. But thank you so much, Sam. We've learned a lot, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your level 3 day. Thanks so much.
Bye.
Okay, see ya. Bye.